Hey, what's up guys? And today's video is going to be a little different than usual. Instead of looking at one particular app, we're going to be looking at a collection of apps, and more specifically, their accompanying widgets. So now I've done a video showing you what's on my iPhone before, and I briefly showed you what I was using, but I've switched up a bit since then, and I'd like to take a look in a bit more detail this time around. So we're going to start at the top here and work our way down through all of them. There's not that many of them, but I think a lot of them are very useful and you might be interested in seeing how they work. So now first here is Dark Sky. Now I've done a review of the full app before, and this gives you a lot of the features from the app right here. You see you get your nice 5-day forecast at the bottom, and you get your chart for the full hour of rain, and that'll fluctuate up and down depending on if it's raining or not, which is really nice. You also have your temperature, your current condition, and your highs and lows, percentage of rain, all that stuff. Basically everything you need aside from like the radar and a more detailed look at the week ahead. It's pretty much all here. It's really useful, really nice to have right at a glance. So now next up here is the DirecTV app, which is really convenient here. You can basically just slide over and without having to find a remote or anything, get access to things like play, pause, fast forward, and rewind. Basically, whatever the last receiver you controlled through the DirecTV app, the controls will show up right here, which is really nice, really convenient. So now next is Deliveries here, which is a really nice app that you can put in tracking numbers, and it basically tracks your packages, and this is just a quick view of all that information right from the widget panel. And when you don't have any packages currently being delivered, that will disappear right out from this panel, so you don't have to worry about it getting in the way. It's just completely gone. Really convenient. We also have the subscriber count widget here, which is really nice. Now you can't open the app and see this information, but basically all I use it for is the widget. It's really nice. It's just simple information that it can give you right there. So next we have Shazam, and they've actually improved this quite recently. You see at the bottom here, you now have my Shazams, which are like the last 4 things you Shazammed, and that's actually really nice because you can quickly see the name of something. For instance, if you Shazammed it earlier that day, you can quickly see what it was that the result was. You also have just a nice tap to Shazam button here, which will basically just launch right into Shazam. Same for search and camera, so it's just basically a shortcut to it. It doesn't do it within the widget panel, it launches into it, but it's still really nice, really easy to get to. I don't actually have the Shazam app on my home screen anywhere accessible anymore, because I can basically just do all of that right through this widget. Next we have the TV app widget here, which basically just shows you the last 4 things you were either watching, or the next episode of whatever you were watching, or things you recently added to up next. So you can quickly tap on any of those and it launches right back into the TV app, or whatever app it is that it was last playing in. So next is ESPN. Now I personally use this one just because I like it. It's a little bit simpler, but the score also has a really nice widget, which also builds news into it, so you can flip between them, but they're more or less the same as far as the scores are concerned. And I don't really want to read sports news within here, so I just like this one because it's very nice and simple, and it works quite well. It gives you all the scores for your favorite teams, really easy, just nice information really quickly. And then we have the music widget here, which I don't really use that much, and I still don't really understand how it works, but it is here. It's kind of nice. I feel like if you really wanted to use it, you could fairly regularly. It's nice because you can just tap on whatever you want, and it quickly starts playing without launching into anything. But again, I just don't find it that useful because I'd prefer to go in, because it does start playing, like, whatever you have saved for that album, it will start playing the first track. So if that's not the one you want to listen to, you're going to have to click it and then go back and hit fast forward like twice, and it's not the most convenient thing ever. I feel like they could make this a bit better. So then we have the Strava widget here, which as you can see I'm kind of slacking on recently, but you basically just hit record and it'll start a workout for you, and it's just a nice shortcut there. Then we also have the news widget here, or as I like to call it, the Trump timeline, and that'll just basically show you the top news stories for whatever particular time it is. So it's just nice shortcuts. If you tap on them, obviously it opens it into the news app so you can read the full thing. We also have Fantastical here, which I leave closed down, but you can also expand it and you'll get a bigger view of your full calendar. You can flip between days right within it, which is really cool, and it also keeps track of your reminders for you. So I don't have to have a separate reminders widget to do that, a separate calendar widget. It all works right through this Fantastical widget. We also have travel times here, which is one of the Google Maps widgets, and that basically will show you your home and work and how long it'll take you to get to each one of them. You can also hit the little refresh button on the side here and it'll update them in case you moved or something. And you can also switch that between driving as well as public transit, which is really nice. We also have Evernote here, which is not horribly useful, but you can expand that, see like your most 3 recent notes. You can also create new notes, new reminders, you can search for stuff. It's kind of nice. It's not the most useful thing in the world, but it's nice that they included it. Now we also have Stow Card here, which is an app I'm probably going to make a review on in the future. It's really nice. It lets you put in all of your loyalty cards, so you can basically just get a digital version of all of them, so you don't have to carry them around. And these are basically just shortcuts into that app for each of these specific cards. Now definitely more on the pointless side here, you see I have Steve. Now Steve is basically a game built into Control Center, which I think is really, really cool. You basically just tap to jump over obstacles and collect coins and try to make it as far as possible. It's a really simple game design, but it's just kind of hilarious that you can play it right within the widget panel. And I just find myself tapping on it like once every time I scroll by it. And it's just entertaining to play. You can see how many coins you made and how far you made it and all sorts of different stuff like that. Also, if you launch into the actual app for this, you can switch out characters, you can buy new ones, stuff like that, so you're not always the dinosaur, but a lot of those you have to pay for and stuff like that, so I personally am happy with just having a dinosaur. We also have the Pedometer plus widget. Now this is something I really think they should add for the health app, is the ability to add like little widgets for each individual thing that you might want. I don't know why they're not there, considering they're like stock apps, and usually those have widgets. But this basically lets you see how many flights you've climbed, how far you've gone, and how many steps you've taken for the day. It's a nice app on its own, but this widget just kind of makes it that much easier to see the information. Next we have Fandango here, which is basically just a little preview of all the top movies that are showing around. You can see the little thing and you can tap on them and it launches right into Fandango to see them. I don't really know why it's here, but I've actually used it a couple times just to... When I know there's a movie playing that I want to find information on, I just swipe over and go to it. It's the kind of thing you kind of have to remember is there, but if you do, it's kind of useful, just a tiny bit. Now at the bottom here is a widget I actually just downloaded yesterday, and it's arguably one of the most useful ones on the list. Now you'll have to go in, it's free to download, you'll have to go in and just see which things are useful. You see I have like a speedometer here, a compass that works like right in here, you don't have to like launch into anything, which is really, really cool. A level, all of these work like live, it's so cool. I also have like my phone storage here, my RAM usage, CPU usage. You can see your mobile and your Wi-Fi up and down speeds. You can see how much storage you have free on your phone. You can see how much RAM you're using, how much of the CPU you're using. Things like how much Wi-Fi and data you're using, and even what time the sun's gonna set. There's a lot of them in there. You can get all sorts of different things like the current time, which it doesn't really seem horribly useful. Some of them aren't super useful. But then again, depending on how you use it, it might be useful to you. You know, you can get shortcuts to open apps, you can get weather information, you can get all sorts of stuff in there. It's really cool. You should just download it. It's free. Go play around with it. See what's actually useful. I don't know how useful any of the ones I have here are actually going to end up being, but if nothing else, they're really entertaining to me just to see that it can do this. Like, I didn't know you could have like a live compass in a widget like this. It's really cool. Just like I didn't know you could have a dinosaur jumping game live working within the widget panel. Now there are several other really good options that I don't personally use, but depending on how you use your phone, they could be really useful. For instance, DataMan is really great if you're concerned at all about your data usage. It gives you options to see how much data you've used in a given cycle, as well as a stopwatch to let you track your usage over a specific period of time. We also have the phone widget that lets you get quick shortcuts to all of your favorite contacts, as well as recent calls and stuff like that. So if you call the same person regularly, you just swipe over and tap on their name, and it's really, really convenient. You also have options like launching apps. You have like the stock Siri app suggestions that'll give you what your phone thinks might be most useful to you based on what you opened recently, what you use most often, stuff like that. There are also third-party options that let you customize what apps show up, so you can have the same apps show up all the time. If you use the same things regularly, you can just tap on them right in the widget panel. And of course, you can always swipe down to get to the Siri app suggestions right through there, and also of course the search and stuff like that. So now for a lot of these, if you 3D touch on the app icon, it will give you the same widget that you would see in the panel. For example, I use the phone widget right from the phone app on the home screen. So as you can see, I definitely use the widget panel quite a bit more than most, and I hope I've given you some ideas as to what might actually be of some use to you. Widgets have been around in iOS for quite some time, but I feel like they've really improved a lot in iOS 10. If nothing else, they're just a lot easier to get to with that nice panel there that you don't have to swipe down from the top to get to. There's also a lot of redesigns from third parties that go along with it that just make them a lot better. They're a lot more interactive and they just look quite a bit nicer. So if you guys have any questions or ideas on how I can improve the videos, I'd really love to see them. But until next week,